Good morning. Welcome to Inside the Huddle.
Good morning, Sean. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. Oh, and a heart. Today's a doubly special day for me. And if you don't mind joining me in saying happy birthday to my amazing, beautiful wife. Who's on the call.
Happy birthday, Lisa.
Lisa, happy birthday.
Wow. She gets two for the price of one. You mean, right?
Yep.
Well, that kind of stinks maybe for her because did you get her 2 sets of flowers, Sean? 2 gifts?
I try to make it special all year round.
All right, there you go.
Although sometimes that means the birthday doesn't stand out.
No,
Look at all those happy birthday wishes. Someday, this will never be public, but I'll tell you the story, Steve.
Yeah.
This woman literally saved my life. Would not be where I am if it wasn't for her.
That's beautiful.
So, amazing woman.
Look forward to hearing the story.
How's everybody else doing today? Did we get over the Super Bowl? Are we bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, or is there like a Super Bowl hangover this morning?
I don't know. I don't know if we have many Rams fans on the call, but it was a great game.
At least it was a good game, right?
Yeah.
Enjoyed it.
I think the playoffs, the whole playoff season was amazing, really. I mean, except for the first round of the playoffs, every single game was like a score apart, whether a field goal or touchdown. Amazing.
Right. Really was amazing playoffs.
Yeah, the halftime show with my boy from Detroit, Eminem, and then we had Snoop Dogg doing his thing. I thought that was great. I don't know if it measured up to the Prince halftime show, but it was really, really good.
The only thing that was surprising to me, normally the commercials are really great. I was kind of with the commercials this year.
Yeah, there was nothing that really popped out, was there? There wasn't that, like, normally there's a great Doritos or a
right.
Like Chrysler Dodge usually puts out some really great, they have in a few years. But yeah, there wasn't anything that really jumped out at me.
I don't expect a lot of water cooler talk about the commercials.
No. Good point. Good observation.
So, thank you. So what do we have on tap today? I think we have a pretty solid part 2, really.
Well, so let's pretend you take a listing, right? And you've worked really hard to get that listing. And how do you leverage it to get more of them, right?
How do you leverage to get more?
How do you leverage it to get more of them? And I think that would be a good topic because there are some tried and true. There's some new ideas, fresh ideas. But, I think right now you have this itch. I think I've seen it more and more because the market's so hot. At agent gets a listing, they just can't wait to get into the market, get it sold, get it done quickly, and be the hero. And yeah, I mean that is the objective. But I think because of the speed at which the market is moving, some of our wonderful agents are missing an opportunity to go get more of those things because they are gold right now. Listings are gold. So
right, and I think we all know that a listing, probably the single best way to get a listing is to have a listing. But like you said, in this market, there's a correct feeling that my highest priority is my client, right? We take care of our client, number 1. Generating more business is number 2. Very, very important, but it's got to come second to taking care of our client.
Right.
And we've allowed ourselves to fall into this trap of the best thing I can do for my client is get this home on the market right away because I'm going to get 8 offers and it'll sell quickly. And that is not necessarily in your client's best interest. And I think we have to get wrapped around that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is, in which case you do it, but other times it's not. And that allows us to then do our second function and get more listings.
Spend some time on that, Sean. What do you mean by, it's may not always be the best course of action to immediately get on the market? What do you mean by that?
Well, by that I mean that we have the obvious thing we think. We got to get the most money for our client's home. But even that's not always the client's highest priority. We need to ask our client what matters most to them. But assuming it is getting the most amount of money, I would put right behind that it's the best offer. And the best offer isn't the highest number because the home has to appraise. It has to still work. But the best offer for our client is the one that's going to cause the least amount of aggravation. It's the most assured of closing. And Steve, you and I have talked about, there's a lot of factors that go into that. Who's the agent on the other side? Who's the brokerage on the other side? What type of loan are they doing? What's the earnest money? What's the down payment? How was the contract written?
Right.
So, yes, we'll get, let's say, 5 offers in the second day. But does that mean you have the 5 best offers? If I could have this out on the market for a week or 10 days, I might not get a higher price necessarily, but I might get a much, much better offer in all those other terms.
Right, right. And I think, I agree with all of that. And I think that one of the things that comes to mind when you say, going to market immediately or right away, as opposed to taking a moment to not only queue it up for proper exposure, but to give yourself or to deliberately create this sense of demand by generating an interest list. I mean, one of the, I spent a brief amount of time in the new, I was recruited away when I was a sales manager in Boulder, Colorado, to work for a builder called McStain back there. And if there's any folks on the call that are familiar with McStain neighborhoods, a great small boutique builder. And one of the things that I learned as a sales strategy that I never paid much attention to was this deliberate intention to build these interest lists, and how those interest lists did more than just create a sense of demand or pent-up demand. It was used to vet, do we have the right price? Have we made the right selections with our upgrades? When they would spec a home as a model, they would be able to get interest from a select group of potential buyers that would preview this home and get that feedback. And in all of that, they were able to determine at what price they would launch and go to market with. And in doing so, be competitive and still have quite a bit of interest so that they could sell out that first phase. And it's just a step that's afforded to us through a private exclusive step. But like you said, I think so many of us fall into the trap of, the seller thinks that they should be on the market immediately, and we're not. And from most of the time, they're getting a frictionless response as it relates to you quarterbacking the best possible outcome, right? So so for example, if you have a dialogue that says, Mr. Maseller, my number one priority here is to safeguard your interest. And so for me to do that, I need to know exactly what it is you're needing from this sale. What is the most important thing that I could do here for you that would ensure that this sale would be on a scale from 1 to 10 be a 10? You're asking, you got to get it out of them. Well, we want to get a great price. And it's always going to be highest in net, right? I would think
right.
It's going to be that case 9 out of 10 times. So now you talk about private exclusive, Sean, and how you could leverage that into ensuring that happens.
Well, in that dialogue, I agree with you. That's the most important conversation. And when they say, because they're not in the profession, they don't know, they're going to come back and say, well, I want the highest price. Hopefully you help them see what they really want is the highest net. That's one of the things we have to do.
Good point.
And then you say, okay, that's number 1. I got it. Now let's talk about number 2. And they'll say, number 2? Is there a number 2? Well, sure. I told you when we started, I want to create an experience for you that's enjoyable, that's fun, that isn't painful like so many times. So we have to talk about what actually makes a great offer. Number 1, highest net. I got it. What else? And help them explore this idea and understand that there's more to it than somebody I've never heard of wrote an offer for more than it'll ever appraise. Let's go with them.
Right. Like I've never, in my years of selling real estate, I never met a seller that was excited to look at. They thought they would be excited to get multiple offers, but I've never met one that's excited to look through 10 of them. And I've never met an agent that's excited to look through 10 of them either. So why is it, Sean, in your mind, that when we're in private exclusive status, and we talked about that stat last week, and then we can move on to how we leverage the listing to generate more listings in terms of how we're marketing it. But why is it that you think that when a home is excluded to the market against all conventional wisdoms, these homes seem to be netting that 1.5% more? What do you see from your end? Like as a guy who coaches agents, who's working closely with an organization that analyzes a lot of stats, Tom Ferry organization, where's the magic bullet here, or what's going on?
That's a great question, because it is why doing this first, why does that lead to more than half my commission being paid for, which the client needs to understand? It's counterintuitive, but I think really there's 2 things going on. One is, like you said, we get pre-market information now. We get to do a mini premiere. I think of it like a movie, right? It's a premiere. Well, before they do the big premiere, they do a small premiere just with the actors and local bigwigs and newspaper people. That's what this is. These are people I trust other Compass agents who can give us feedback on pricing, on marketing, on staging, so that when it does go out, it's now more attractive and in a better negotiating position than it was before. I think that accounts for some of it. But you know, the other thing I think goes on?
What's that?
The agents who do this understand the nature of making it into a premiere, understand the nature of marketing a little better than the agents who don't on average. Sometimes we can't. The client wants it out there. I got that. But when we have the choice and not, the people who are doing it tend to do this better. And I think that actually leads to the higher price also.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Great tool.
Yeah. You take the listing now, and by the way, I think when we're talking about this status, how much time do you think, as fast as things move now, just with technology that's at the agent's fingertips? I mean, we're not talking about keeping this thing held back for the market for, it doesn't have to be a week or 2 weeks, right? This could just be a number of days that could generate or produce this buyer and allow our agents to take some tactical steps, is what I want to talk about now, that allows them to market to get more listings. Where do you think one of the biggest opportunities is for an agent to market this new listing that they take? Like, where would you start if you were?
I appreciate that question. I think that's huge for the second part. If we know we're taking care of our client, and now we've done the private exclusive for 3 or 4 days, maybe. We've gotten that info, and whether we know why it works or not, we know we've added 1.5% to the price. To me, the opportunity is now huge to go into the coming soon for a week, even less than a week, and market to that neighborhood. You are now you are inundating that 150 homes around that listing with information about the home. Really, you're showing off the value that you add. And ideally, you're leading all up to a huge open house that makes the neighbors, the people that we know, one sign goes up, 2 more go up. I want them to say, gee whiz, I've never seen anybody do this. This guy's amazing. Have you seen what this woman's got going on? We need to use her to sell our home. We're interviewing for a job.
Great stuff. That moment you talked about, that, you know, that when we take a listing, don't ask me why. I don't know. You don't know either, I'm sure, unless we have higher powers. But when a listing is taken, right, within a matter of 7 to 14 days, another one pops up.
Right.
There are a couple of things going on there. Now, I want to go back before I want to just for a second stay in private exclusive, because, you know, with clear cooperation rules being what they are, you do have a short window to network in that circle marketing around the listing. And there are 2 buckets I think agents should pay particularly close attention to. One is that canvas call around the listing in the community, which helps you get your name out again. You're giving almost any seller right now, with the market doing what's doing, they want to know what you're going to price that at, or what.
Be careful. Be careful now. Wait a minute. You're talking about private exclusive. We can't make those calls.
Oh, they can. You can market. Well, no, you can market directly to your database. You can directly market to your past clients.
Right, but not to the neighborhood.
Well, you can make them aware that the listing is. Well, wait a minute now. Let me think about that.
Right.
If you're directly marketing though, and if Liz has her hand raised, maybe she.
Yeah,
can,
let's.
But I'm thinking, I want to be sure, because I think if you're making that call yourself and you're trying to establish that client, is that a violation?
No, that's marketing to the public. You can't market to the public. The neighbors would be the public. And so you can market to your own database, your own customers, not
Right.
even your whole database, but your own customers, right? I mean,
Right.
Anything that might go to the public is something you cannot do. So circle marketing you can do during coming soon, but not during private exclusive.
Okay, good point. Well, I thought if you were making that content, establish it yourself to make your own client, then that
one to your customers, or to Melanie chimed in, or to Compass agents, but that's all.
Good. Well, so that was the biggest bucket I wanted to talk about, though, that I don't think agents pay particularly close attention to, is marketing this listing to their past clients, because there's nobody that's probably more ready and willing and able to give you a referral than people that are happy with who you are and what you've done for them. And I think they're missed. I think the marketing goes directly to those things that we just talked about. We prepare flyers. If we do, they go out into the neighborhood. We start preparing for those open houses. We may do a mailer around that. But I think one of the first buckets an agent should lean into is their database. Hey, I just took this listing at blankety blank at Happy Banana Street. Do you know of anybody that might be interested in this home? And chances are, if you're thinking of some of the folks on this call now, like I'm looking at Michelle, who has like a farm area. I mean, for her to market a listing to a past client in that community allows her to let them know, again, she's still in that neighborhood, knocking it down, but that's something really valuable that most people want to know about. And that's a home that's coming to market in a market that's constrained with inventory.
I agree that any reason to talk to our existing clients and let them know, we always are looking for that reason, because we all fear the rejection or I don't want to be salesy. You're not being salesy. Call your existing buyers and say, listen, no one knows about this yet, but I'm letting you know. That's a value add. And once again, it's differentiating yourself.
Yeah, you want to get more listings. I mean, you can't be it's not salesy.
Well, so let's move to that next all important step.
Yeah.
There's a great advantage in going on the coming soon for days. I mean, not for weeks. That's the idea of coming soon, is that the house isn't ready yet. And we don't want to abuse that. But you could use coming soon for 3 or 4 days,
right,
to build up that marketing in that neighborhood before you go active. We know we're going to get offers from all kinds of people, and we already know we're going to get that highest net. That wasn't the objective. The objective was to get the best all-around offer for our client. And it's fantastic that the two actually align. When I'm doing that for my client, I'm also generating new business for myself. By helping my client get the best all-around offer, I'm also taking the time to let all the neighbors know that I'm for hire. I'm here. And if you're thinking about it, you should look at what I'm doing right now, because no one else does this.
Right. We had, it's so funny because, I live in a pretty desirable community, I think, and at least in North or South Carlsbad. There have been 2 homes in the last 70 days, both one succeeding the other, and in terms of the highest price sold in our little niche of the woods here. I never received a just listed card. We never received a just sold card. We never received a phone call. We never received a door knocker. And I think of, like, I don't know, call me old fashioned, but how do you build a brand if no one knows who you are? If you think that all you need to do is put a sign in the front yard and that's going to help you create a relationship with the community, it's just such a missed opportunity. And to me, it's a basic fundamental, a blocking and tackling exercise, if you will, that it stuns me that,
It's funny that you call it old fashioned too, because we are seeing once again, everything old is new again. And looking at the faces on the screen and knowing about Compass, I'd say we have a large percentage of agents that have been in the business 5 to 8 years. I mean, it's a young, can I even say this? I don't get in trouble. But we're a younger brokerage compared to a lot of brokerages out there. You look at average age.
Right.
And you have to come talk to some of us old timers about what we used to do, like mailings that no one does anymore. And they're very, very effective again because no one's doing them.
Right.
Here's the part of the psychology of this, my favorite part, right? When you hit a neighborhood 4 or 5 times over 5 or 6 days, but all from different channels, there's mailers and door drops and slide dials and social media, and they don't walk away and say, oh, that Mindy, boy, she's just, what a pain. She's marketing to me nonstop. No one's paying that much attention. What they start to get is a feel. Wow, that Mindy must be a huge agent. It seems like I see her everywhere. What do you think? She has 8 listings? That's the feeling that you're talking about, Steve. That's the brand that we start creating by continually bringing things of value from different directions, because they don't stop and analyze it. They just get a feel for it. And you become the brand of the neighborhood.
Well, the whole thing is most agents invest a lot to get a listing, and there's, just missed opportunities to get more of them. And I think that one of the, a fundamental prerequisite is to notify everyone in that community once you take a listing that you're there, and that's how you would start. That's how you can create a geographic farm, is taking just that one listing. I could tell you, we all have war stories, but the very first community I ever marketed was a place community back in Michigan called Independence Hills. The first listing I ever took was a for sale by owner. In fact, I was back there visiting last year. I took a picture of it. The very first listing I ever took. That turned into, in a year's time, me having about 30% market share at the end of the year. Meaning if you drove through Independence Hills, at any moment, I had 3 or 4 listings amongst the 10 that were in there. But the 3 or 4 listings with my name on it, my sign, looked as if I was the dominant player. Even though there were more listings in there, it looked like I had all of them. The optics of it were really powerful. And it just led to me dominating the community. One listing effectively leveraged. What did I do? Let me tell you something as basic as this. Back then, I just took a photograph of that thing with a camera when we used to use film. Went to Moto Photo, had him superimpose on the picture just listed, right? And you saw a picture of the house, put a 5x7 sticker that you got at Office Max, and they had photo or the picture, right? And I just, again, you can't do this anymore. But the point is that I went the cheapest route possible when I listed it and when I sold it. And I don't know if it was all that made the difference. I just know how it ended up for me a year from now by sending out that card, following up with a phone call. Do you have any questions about the property I've just listed at blankety blank? And this stuff just doesn't happen today because I think we're going too fast. we're going too fast. And we're missing opportunities to build our inventory, our own business.
I wrote down another line you said, one listing effectively leveraged. And that's what we're talking about. Real quick, there was the comment came in from Lana about how to get phone numbers around the listing. And Michelle pointed out that the one we mostly use is title companies. Remember that, Melanie already said it. The title company will say it's scrubbed, but that does not relieve you of responsibility on the do not call list. It's still your personal responsibility to make sure that they're not on the do not call list.
Right.
There's also private companies, and I'm not going to get into them here. I don't want to favor one over the other, but reach out privately to any one of us. There's 2 or 3 companies you can pay. They'll also get you phone numbers.
Yeah, the Kohl's directory is, I think, one of the most solid. You can buy for a small.
Or maybe we will put them out in public here.
No, I was just going to say for that one. I was just because it's really the biggest and baddest phone directory that does.
They are right.
Yeah.
Let's go back to something organic. Go from what you were saying that I don't know how many agents are using right now, and that's the seller letter. My favorite first piece that comes out, and it comes out the very day that we become coming soon, the day that you can publicly market, is a seller from your letter. A letter from your seller that what you do is talk to them, and they'll most likely say, sure, but they're not going to write the letter. You might write the letter for them, have them approve it. And the letter says something along the lines of, hi, this is Grandpa Sean. I've been living here 25 years. I know all of you. And it's finally time for me to move and be near my grandkids. Hate to leave the neighborhood. It's such a great neighborhood, but I will be moving on. And I know some of you may already know a friend or family member that you want to have move into the neighborhood. So I'm going to give you my agent's number. Give them a call.
That's awesome.
And let me tell you, by the way, I did a lot of research. I interviewed a lot of agents, and I settled on Steve. Steve is phenomenal. The ideas he had, there's 3 or 4 lines about how great Steve is. Going to miss you all. Please come to the open house my agents are going to have for me. And, thank you for 20 great years. That letter goes out, and that third-party endorsement is so powerful. You will be surprised. People read that from the seller and say, wow, this agent must be really good.
Right. Love
now,
that.
again, make sure your seller approves of it, but that should be the first piece that goes out, the seller letter.
Right. Absolutely. I actually love that. And, one of the things I would do, again, I would still do it today, is I would do something like that, I would think. And I would also, because I've never really done the seller letter, I did a version of it by just door knocking, saying, hi, the Di Giovanni is up the street. They listed me as their agent, and the property is going to be going on the market here. And I just wanted to see that in the event that this home doesn't meet the needs of some of the buyers that will be coming into the marketplace, is there an offer that you might consider for your home? I just got right to it, and lo and behold, there was that next buyer. Just like when we do the open houses, I would always do open houses trying to figure out who's in front of me. More often than not, it's a neighbor, a competitor, soon to be competitor, who's getting the lay of the land, like what they're going to be up against. And if I'm asking the wrong questions, I'm missing an opportunity to connect with them about, or at least knowing that they're going to be coming to market and potentially being an option for them as a listing agent, because too many agents try to sell the listing. So yeah.
I love that. That's one of the things I like about the different pieces hitting them over a week's time from different directions. Then you go do that door knock the day, like Friday evening before your Saturday open house or Saturday before the Sunday open house. You have a certain superstar status now. Once again, you'll be surprised because of all the stuff they've received. Oh, you're Wendy. Yeah, you're everywhere. So what's going on? Two things are going on. I'm having an open house. Hopefully, and I'm not going to go into it here because I've done it before, the mega open house, the neighbors only open house. Reach out if you want to know more. But hopefully you're going to do the neighbors only open house. You're inviting them to that, and then you're letting them know you've probably seen some of the things I'm doing to sell this home. As normal, I'm going to have a lot of offers. One lucky offer is going to get the home, and I'm going to have a number of other people who want to buy a home in this neighborhood. Have you put any thought into, is there a price that, different scripts we have? You're standing there with superstar status now and telling them, because I'm so good without saying it, we're going to have other buyers right now.
That neighborhood soiree open house is one of the best ideas. If you that's the only open house you did, and you committed to doing a proper twilight finger food, maybe a wine something, some bubbly, something like that, done at between the hours of 4 and 6, or 5 and 7, somewhere in there, for those neighbors where they all come together. But I'm telling you, if you could commit to just one thing that you would do as it relates to, aside from doing the public open house, of course, is that one thing could probably help you get connected with not only the neighborhood, but you could build friends that way. You could help the community come together, and that makes you very popular. So,
well, and there's the key difference that circles back to our original point in today's episode, today's huddle. After we take care of our client, we want to generate more business. That general open to the public open house will almost always lead to one closed buyer. If we're doing it right, we're going to get a number of leads and at least one that we close. But that neighbors only open house, if we've done everything right, the goal is to lead to one closed listing. And that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
Use the listing you have to generate another listing and really become the go-to in that neighborhood.
I think what we're saying is there are windows that open up in each segment, each stage of the marketing process, and they only last for a period of time where you can really leverage them, right? If you're the highest price sold and you don't get your mailer out for 6 months, you've missed that opportunity and there are ways to share that message. I sold this fast and the highest price is not how I would do that mailer today. I would list the most recent solds where it's self-evident you're the highest sold. Don't talk about intellectually lazy stuff. Let it be self-evident to them so it's void of hubris. And it looks like you're the professional. You're not beating your chest. You're saying, look, this is what's happened, and I'm at the tip of the spear, and you're letting the numbers do the talking for you. My point, though, is if you wait too long, you lose that opportunity to claim that for yourself. And so this has to be timely. And these windows will shut down on you if you don't take advantage of them. And if you're on the call right now, and at any point you've taken a listing and you haven't done this, you know that. I mean, you might, in a market like this, you might only be in the market for a minimum of 14 days before your sign comes down, right? I mean, if you took a listing today, it could be up and gone. You're gone before God gets the news. I mean, no one even knows. So think about it.
But having said that, Steve, just because we didn't do it in a timely manner, I wouldn't say, well, it's too late now.
No,
we're beating the bushes for listings no matter what.
We're talking about leverage,
point,
right? Maximum leverage would be the cadence at which you are operating is really important, is all I'm saying. Yeah.
Have a calendar. Have a plan. This should be a planned marketing blitz.
Yes. Yeah.
Last thing for me, I just want to do a reminder and circle back to the first thing I said. It's not always in our client's best interest to do this. Your client's highest interest might be time. I need to get out now. Let's get on the market now. We always consult with our client first, but let's help them understand that most of the time, the best offer is not the highest one only. It's the best offer, including a lot of terms. And once you understand and accept that, and you convey it to your seller, if they agree, then you can do these things we're talking about and generate another listing. And everybody wins.
That's such an awesome point, Sean. Yeah. Such an awesome point, because I do think that the seller does fall into the trap of the highest number, but that is not always the case. That it is the best offer, right? We know that to be true.